to That Moto Show with Dirt Bike TV's Jay Clark and producer Donnie Bales.
All right, welcome. We just clapped and it was perfect, in sync. We're like that, huh?
I think if we had like the tambourine, we would be like in the band at the back.
A real band.
A real band.
It is nice to get the band back together. We've skipped a couple weeks here, so we're all back going, which is cool. You had a family vacation, and going on there, and you're having knee surgery for those that are nothing major, just a little quickie,
just a cleanup,
no ligaments or whatever.
No, just a little meniscus tear, and it's just catching in the wrong spot.
All right, so hopefully that goes quickly. The show 32.
32.
Who do you think of when you hear 32?
Well, right now I got J Coop.
Oh, yeah. I think of older ones, and I was thinking Casey Johnson ran 32.
Oh, yeah.
A year or two.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Casey Johnson.
Liked him.
I unfortunately, when we get to these higher numbers, it's a little more difficult to dig back to the back of the pack where.
Well, the next show's 33.
Well, we know who number 33.
All right,
33 is,
and that's one of the questions that comes up. So first thing before we get going, remember if you want to have any tech questions answered, to email me. Very simple. Guys go, I can't do it. What's your email? We don't post our email, okay, but you can go to our website and click there because we don't get less bots. I get enough spam emails a day going through there. So let's just catch up a little bit. First of all, April, we had just tons of moto going on. We ended up not doing our trail trip we talked about. We were going to do it, and it was going to be too hot there, and it was cool and rainy down here. And then Spencer came in twice in April, so that was pretty cool.
And listen, all plans are always fluid,
right? Except for in June, we're going to stick to that.
Well, yeah, there's a June that we're going to stick to.
So some of those are a little bit more solid. The ones that are bigger commitment to get set
I made a big commitment for September. I know it's a long way out, but I committed from now to September.
Which is going to be a KTM, right, in Colorado.
That's right. So Breckenridge.
One of those adventure. So your new group of friends.
My new buddies, yeah.
Okay.
You know why I chose them? I seem to be the faster guy in that group.
You're the better, more experienced, cool guy.
I guess. I don't know. Our group, I'm the slower guy.
Right. So we ended up not going on trail trip. We rode a bunch. I got some cool photos of riding. I rode Glen Helen 12 times, who knows, a bunch. And we shot my YZ250F there with Dirt Bike Test. That one's out. You can check that out. That one's really cool.
Hey, in Glen Helen, what do they call that? The Walk of Fame or whatever? Yeah. I really think you should have your name in there.
Right.
Like you practically live at Glen Helen.
Well, but I say the 215 freeway is the one I should call the Memorial J. Clark Memorial Freeway.
I wonder how many miles you spent on that freeway.
It's terrible. So that's a tough one. And the traffic is what's a killer.
Yeah.
So Spencer came into town. We shot that bike, and then we went to the two-stroke race, which you saw a little bit when you were on vacation.
Yep.
They had live stream, and that race was incredible how crowded it was. I mean, and they had around 900 entries, we heard.
Wow.
One day. Okay. Then the fans were insane. And it had rained the day before. Just spectators was incredible. So during the first pro race, which was around 10 in the morning, it was like 10. I was up, Spencer and I rode the trail bikes, which we'll get into, up to the top of the hill. And we got footage of that pro race going on, which was a really cool view up there. And you could see the line coming into the place was still huge. It was,
wow.
Yeah. So guys didn't get there early enough that wanted.
What did you take that back trail that's behind Talladega that goes up? That
so
one?
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went up there, and I never had gone up there and watched. I don't know why. Just lazy.
Have you never ridden up that trail?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
But you've done SRA or something,
Not really. It's been years since I've been up there. Yeah. So it was really fun. So we went up there and watched that first moto. He went up there before that and filmed some stuff that was really cool. We have some of the footage of it you can put up while we're talking about it. But the two-stroke race just had a ton of different people. You're like, it was just cool. And tons of people posted on Friday of how muddy it was. So I thought that would really turn the crowd down, but it didn't. And Saturday was perfect for the race. It was amazing.
Did they drag the track in the morning or anything to kind of get rid of some of the mud?
It was really good. It was a little muddy, obviously, for first practice, but we didn't ride practice. Spencer and I waited till practice was over, and it was good.
Right.
So it was awesome. I mean, the
what
ruts.
Class did you guys ride?
We just went out sweeping.
Sweep.
Yeah. I have special privileges.
Yeah, I know you do. But did you start out in front of Spencer and then he passed you?
Yeah, and one of them, yeah.
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll get into that. But we on that race we took the KDX 200 behind you. We took that bike, which we just put a new piston in. We have a video on that. We took that bike and the RMX 250, which we
this
just
is a 91.
93. They're both 93s.
93s.
And
this thing's incredible shape for 93.
Yeah, it's really good. That's your buddy that had that bike.
Yep. Sal.
I knew it was 3 letters. Thanks, Sal.
Yeah. So we need to thank Sal for the bike.
Yeah. So we got a good deal on that bike. It was a cool bike. What's cool about that bike was one of the coolest things was when Spencer was coming up around me, the sound was incredible. It has a weird, cool sound at that 200 cc's is for sure in between sounding like a big, deep 300 or 500. But not as tingy as a 125. So it had this cool sound when he was riding it hard behind me. So I was digging that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So really cool bike. Really surprised at how well it did, and the RMX was really good. Both of them, I was a little sketchy on the rear brake. That bike and the RMX are both going to go up to Utah. We're going to do a little bit of trail riding early summer with them, and then they're probably going to be for sale up there in Utah. We'll probably sell them up there because in the summer more people buy bikes up there. So we'll probably sell them this summer up there in Utah. So I haven't finished doing the title stuff. I need to do that. And I'll get that done, and then I'll sell them this summer up there. But Spencer wants to do a few more rides. We're gonna do a couple more rides on them this June, maybe first part of July.
Do you lose track of how many bikes you own?
Right. That was one of the questions I got this week. I didn't send it to you. He asked how many bikes you own and how many I own, and so I insure 7 or 8 at a time, and then I have another 7 or 8.
So I was just counting how many titles I own with all my vehicles. I have 21 titles.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's gnarly. Donnie's flexing. Okay. So anyway, great time at two-stroke race. It's cool that two-strokes, that there's so much interest. People just love it. It's cool. I did ride a modern two-stroke for a Moto. David had one out there, a current 250 motocross one.
330. Number 330.
Yeah. 30. We wanted to do 3033, like a 4-digit number. He wouldn't let us. Yeah. So first of all, he went up 2 teeth on the gearing on the rear. I'm like, dude, I would have gone down 1 or 2 teeth, smaller rear sprocket. He didn't. I wanted it to be smooth and easy to ride. He didn't do that. Also, it wasn't a tougher map. I'm like, why didn't you tell me any of this? So they just have too much snap. I can ride a YZ250. I could ride probably better. A 2-stroke YZ250, but they vibrate a lot, so you're worn out in 10 minutes, in your hands. But overall, good. I don't miss riding 2-strokes on the track. The trail, it's fine, but on the track, it's just a 4-stroke so much easier.
Well, the trail bike's a completely different motorcycle than a motocross bike. They're not even in the same category.
Yeah. Hey, we did get to go see AC/DC the night before. Okay, that was huge at the Rose Bowl.
This is one of the worst, one of the worst things I couldn't go to. It is literally one of my favorite bands.
It was so good. And then I've been talking to Kurt. We'll talk about the CD at the end. Well, of course, we'll talk about AC/DC at the end. But I talked to Kurt, who's like this aficionado on AC/DC. He's the owner of Ventco. And he totally knows everything about it. So I was asking.
Did he know you were going beforehand?
Yeah.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he was stoked for me. He went to night 1 in Minneapolis.
Oh, wow.
So they went to Minneapolis, Dallas, at the big stadium. It was 80,000 there as well at that big football stadium where Supercross is.
Right.
They went there, and then they went to Rose Bowl, and I can't remember where they go next. But I was doing some math. They're making a ton of money.
Hey, going back for one second to the 2-stroke nationals.
Yeah.
I want to know the year it switched from 4-stroke nationals to 2-stroke nationals.
Right. I think there was a lull where there wasn't anything.
There was nothing.
Yeah, for a little bit. But the 2-stroke nationals has been a good 15 years.
Right. So I used to go to all the 4-stroke nationals all the time.
They were at Paris originally with Tom White.
They were at Paris originally. Goat did it originally, and then they shifted over there.
Yeah, to Glen Helen.
And so I always thought it was funny that we used to have that, and how times change.
How it's changed.
How it's changed.
So, and I still, for the track, I just don't think anything's better than a 4-stroke. And we'll get into some of the reasons why, some of the bikes I'm riding right now and why, but it's awesome. New Racer X magazine. We had this bike here last time, but and I think we showed the magazine article, but not the actual magazine.
Yeah.
I didn't have the hard magazine. It's still cool to get an actual magazine with my, bike stories. I still love to see that. So anyway, great. That's a great build. That's our 500. Ratto actually has it right now. He's going to do a little video on it. He wants to test ride it out. So I said, you could. Just don't mess it.
It's a really good looking bike.
Sometimes he crashes in the gravel in front of his house.
Why does he do that?
He's like tries to be like confident, overly confident, and he tries to do like a spin turn or something, and then like drops the bike.
Okay.
In the driveway and like on the gravel.
Right.
The gravel is one of the toughest places. I see people take people out. I'm like, don't, like, they want to ride in front of my house. I'm like, the gravel's the worst thing ever. Like,
so
I have
a friend who we know when the supermoto phase happened. They had Troy Lee build him a supermoto bike and decided to go for a ride, first ride in a parking lot, and immediately tucked the front end and went down, and the bike slid for a long way. But it, you know, the asphalt had a little bit of gravel on it.
Oh yeah.
And that was it.
It put you down.
Yeah.
I've learned that a few times. I got a bunch of road rash. So new Whiskey Throttle show interview with me.
Yeah, it was really good.
Got some pictures of that. You already listened to that, right?
Yep, I listened to the whole thing.
Well, good for you. So
but the thing is, I kind of knew the whole story.
Right. You knew most of it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's it there. Let's get into some Supercross real quick.
Let's talk about it.
Now, this will come out, most of you will listen to this after the next round, which is going to be kind of the pivotal round.
I think so.
Is Pittsburgh, because what's been happening in this 450 class, we're just talking 450s for the most part, is that Sexton's on a roll here. He's looking really good. He looked incredible in New Jersey.
He looked like he made the whoops look like they were flat.
Yeah. So they got the bike working good. He's doing good. His confidence is good. If it's a mud race, this will determine the rest of it, because I think he stands in real good shape at Denver and Salt Lake to win.
I would agree with that.
So it's going to see what happens here if he can do this. Either way, it's a cool story that these guys are battling to the end. It's kind of nice that we have that going on. So hopefully it stays like that.
I have a lot of respect for Webb. It's like Webb goes. He was upset from the handgun blast. What do they call that? The finger,
air gun,
does, finger gun, and said, "I'm going to come back and win," and he didn't. And he just said, "Hey, I didn't get it done," which is, it's a lot of respect for that guy. He's like, I couldn't make it happen, and he simply said, Chase was faster tonight.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So the sad news is Jerry Robin got hurt.
Oh man,
and so. I mean, we're still optimistic that there could be some kind of a miracle, because it wasn't severed as bad as some. You know, it's not like severed, but still, all indications are that it's not great. And so we're praying for something better.
We really need to pray for him hard. The guy's the nicest guy. I don't know him, but I've seen a lot of interviews. And
I just started the one on Gypsy Tales with him. Just started it, and it's tough to listen to now, knowing that he's like this right now. So anyway. This sport is just brutal. We're talking about how gnarly Webb and Sexton are going up front, right? And to be at that level, that stuff's at the risk, right?
Yeah.
It's just
gnarly. Even like you go look at Jerry Robin, who would go to last chance qualifiers, or he'd make it in at 8th or 9th position, and some people go, "Oh, he's slow. These guys are the gnarliest guys in the world."
Right.
And if anybody on our level would ever ride with Jerry Robin on any other track,
right.
we would look like absolute fools compared to him. And unfortunately, there are different levels in Supercross, but he's still an amazing, amazing rider. And it shows that one little slip up. Did you hear his explanation that he just tapped the brake for a second?
Oh.
And it just was enough for him not to clear that triple. So it's like, we really, as fans, also have to appreciate what these guys are doing for us.
Right. The level's gnarly. And I don't think there's an easy answer on how to fix it. It's unfortunately.
Well, what's funny is we saw now twice last weekend with Barsha and Faulkner running those Alpine Star inflatable.
They didn't deflate.
They don't deflate.
They were supposed to.
Yeah, so they're supposed to deflate.
One of the announcers was saying they're supposed to deflate in 25 seconds or something. But Barsha's out there riding like a football player. Yeah. So, anyway. Our best wishes there, and we'll just have to move on. And we got two good questions. I'm going to go with the first one. You're going to like this one. And then you got the next one to read on that one page there. Hey, man, Kyle White here from his name's Kyle from Mississippi. He's 41 years old. He has a 22 Honda 250F. This is not a CRF 250. This is the F, like the trail bike. And it's his first bike he got 2.5 years ago. The bike has been great. He's learned so much. but he feels like he could use more power in third and fourth gear. Well, for sure you could, right? And he wants to he said he's gonna be riding 95% enduro, single track woods. He says he doesn't race. He wants to have fun. I ride with other guys that are all faster than me, but he's been progressing. He's thinking about getting a Yamaha 250FX or a Beta X trainer. Main reasons I got the 250F is because of the lower seat height. He says I'm 5'8". Okay, so you know where this is going.
I know where it's going.
I could lower a big bike, I suppose, but not sure if it would make be any better to just get the higher bike and go with it. What are your thoughts on the next level bike? Also, the seat height issue. Thank you for your time. Enjoy watching your show. All right. So first, what do you think I said first?
No need to lower the bike.
Okay, sounds good. Like I said you're like 1.5 inches taller than me. I used to be nearly 5'7", so I said shut it. LOL. The answer is simple. Is simply to ride more and practice. So yes, just like Pinocchio wanting to be a real boy, it's time to be a real man. A real rider setup. Ride a full size bike at 5'8". You're tall enough. You're taller than at least as tall or taller than half the pros out there.
Yeah.
Most of the pros are 5'8" range, 5'7"
or shorter. What about Jeremy Martin?
Right.
What about Alex Martin?
And RC.
An RC.
Right. And Ping is shorter than me.
Yep.
Okay. For years. So anyway, I would say 5'8", 5'9" would be tallerish. 5'9" to 5'10", that's getting into taller riders for the most part. 5'8", right in there. There's tons of guys in
Benny
that
Bloss is a freak of nature.
Yeah. And Mike Bell, those kind of things.
Too tall Bell.
Right.
The thing is like why is everybody concerned about being tall enough? Your foot to peg ratio. They're
concerned about the just the tip over that they're falling in. Hey, this just happens. It's part of dirt bikes.
Right.
And so I said it's like anything. It's hard to learn because it's awesome. If it was easy, then everyone would do it. Dirt bikes are hard, and you're gonna fall and get hurt. But that level of danger adds to the excitement of the sport and what we enjoy. So there are many other sports or hobbies you can go do without fear of falling because you can't touch the ground. But none as cool as dirt bikes. So now, yes, we love the Yamaha 250FX, great bike. See it on our videos. We have a video. I sent him a link to our video on the 250FX. So no problem with that 250FX. To get started, if you got that 250FX, you could lower the sag down pretty low, move the forks up to where they're close to the bars, start there. But as far as modifying the suspension straight out of the gate, the bike wasn't built and intended for that. So I'm not a fan of modifying those unless you're, we're talking 5'4", 5'3", 5'2".
Yeah, but that's under. Isn't that what Carmichael's like 5'4", 5'5"?
Yeah.
I don't even think he's...
It's a little different in the sense, I do grant that he was so good and skilled and made up for some of that.
For sure.
But I do believe you just got to practice, and guys want to get on and then ride a big bike.
Does anybody mountain bike? Because you don't touch the ground when you're mountain biking.
Well, it'd be like surfing, right? How gnarly surfing? Am I going to go show up at Mavericks? At the gnarliest surf spot, right?
No.
With big waves surfing or whatever.
No.
It's like, I can't even do the baby waves. I've told a story about me doing baby waves. So if something's hard and cool, it's going to take a lot of practice. And it takes a ton of practice to be good at surfing or skateboarding, dirt biking. They're all going to have your ups and downs. So
you got to play the long game at riding dirt bikes.
Right. All right. You got one there on the track guy. What was his name?
Okay. Nathan H. He said, your videos have got me itching to do more turn track stuff, and I had some questions on how to make the best track in your opinion. Here's my question. Lap time. What's a sweet spot for lap times in your opinion? Where is it not too short, but it doesn't take all day before the corners have decent ruts to carved in? Speed variation. Do you like the variety of speed getting up to fourth gear, then down to first gear for tight corners? Or would you rather more consistent, maybe just second gear for the whole track? Corner shape. Do you like including tight hairpin corners, wide sweeping corners, or something between? What do you like? I know it's all just playing around and casual. I'm just curious if you have any insight into what you like to do when cutting in new tracks. Also, Do you like riding other people's, or do you mostly prefer to just carve in your own? Thank you. That's Nathan H.
Really good questions. I thought it was cool. Now, there's a huge amount of variables that go into this, but I wrote him back and I said, good question. I said, lap time, we like to go as long as possible. Up to 4 or 5 minutes is awesome. We have some that have been 8 minutes. This keeps it less laps for a long moto. So if you have an 8-minute track, you only have to do like 7 laps. Do a 56-minute moto, you're done for the day.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the track doesn't get as beat up. So it keeps it, you're doing less laps for a longer moto, and it also keeps you from getting bored. The longer the lap, if you're doing a track, I like the longer lap for that reason. Now, if you're training, this is what's different. If you're training and doing you're working on technique and turns with some type of trainer, which I'm not, that ship has sailed, then you could build like a 30-second track. That's totally fine, and work on that technique in those areas. And he says, yes. And then I say, yes, I like lots of speed variation, and it's great to have a couple wide open 3rd to 4th gear sections if you have the room. If you, we are limited by the land we have procured for the use for that day, LOL. So now this guy, I'm guessing, has private land to use. That's why he's asking. He doesn't say what he's working with. We also like elevation. And then one of these videos that we have playing here, you can see we go up and down, and some of this land is my land and been passed down from generations and
This
generations.
land is my land. This land is your land.
So then corners, we like to have a marker, a tree, a rock, a pole, even a piece of PVC, something going straight up. And then guys can make beginner, novice, intermediate, and pro lines are all different. So what happens is, first of all, first gear, we have a first gear turn, but if you're going down a straightaway, if you have a marker and then it's going to go around there to the next marker, anybody can make whatever line they want, and that's riding with you. If you're going to start making the line you like the best, and then after you ride it for a while, you're going to realize that you can, usually when you make it at first, it's going to be like more of a U-turn, right? And then as you ride it longer, you're going to come outside and make it more sweeping and arcing out. That's typically what happens to a lot of the tracks we do.
I've noticed when I get more tired on these tracks, how I just go outside the line.
Outside, it can be really good. Now, what really helps is, because you talked about other people, but when I do have someone faster ride with me, especially, and I already have the track carved out, then that person, like Ping or somebody, puts in a line that
Totally
arcs,
different.
And usually I hop on it and it's way better.
Right.
Typically it's better than what I've been doing. Also, it's getting out of the rough. Number of people depends on how much you like them, is what I said. The more that ride it, the rougher it's going to get, and then it's not going to last very long. So the areas we're riding, we're not able to take a tractor in there and go fix it back up. Okay, so once you ride it for a season, a year or two, it usually then gets too rough, rutted out, whatever, to ride it again. So you've ruined that spot per se. Now,
Do you have any tracks that you've carved in 5 years ago that you go back right now and there's still lines from that track there?
No, yes, they're still there, but they're not rideable.
No. But I'm saying it's still there from
yeah.
5 years ago or whatever.
Some are, yeah.
Okay.
So, but for the most part, they get grown over and there's just bits of them. And then a lot of times we'll go back to an area and try to cross over the old track and make a new one in that same spot. It's called land management. Is the term that they use for this. We want to be good stewards of our land. And then I said, so our land's very limited. If it's your land, you can make more and then don't stress it. More is better, but it will wear in more quickly. So that's what I worry about with you have, a bunch of guys on there. It's going to wear out real quickly. And if you can't take a tractor in there and grade it and plow it, after a few months or whatever, it's going to get too rough and then in some cases getting grown over with stuff. So I think it's cool that he can build his own track, that he has the space to do it. And if you have the ability to do that, Kiefer goes off and on over the years. He's gone to this guy in Colorado, and the guy has a field, and it's like a farm field, and they just cut tracks in there and the guy waters them. It's insane looking. I've never got to go. I want to work on it, but now he's going back to Georgia, so I don't know if we'll be able to work on it this summer, but totally cool. Like a hill track, good elevation with not huge hills, but some rolling elevation, just some rolling hills, and you can put in all kinds of different types of terrain. It shows you don't need jumps to have, fun with it, but it's a blast.
One of my favorite turn tracks was the one that we would ride to from your buddy's house. Mm-hmm. That one we'd ride back there.
That's some of the footage you're gonna be showing right now.
That track was 7 minutes long.
Yep.
That one was fun.
It was so cool. So we've made some modifications out there. It's a little bit different.
I didn't like the one in front of his house as much as I like the one back.
Yep.
So
anyway, real cool. Build a track if you can. It's good. Yeah, if you have the ability. That would be my dream. When I was talking to Ping, we were talking about what the future would hold. I would love to have my own little bit of land where I could have a sand track and I could ride that into my 70s. Just if I had a relatively easy sand track that could stay smooth and just watered, I would take a tractor around it. And Kelly out in Arizona has kind of built what my dream thing
Johnny, would be. His buddy that we got that 450 from, he has his own track, and that's where they all go ride. And he builds a track.
That's cool.
And it's got full tabletops and everything. It's actually really cool.
They water it?
He has a water truck. He has everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's a really cool track.
All right, we'll get talking about some of our projects we have going on. We did the TX300, that carbureted bike, Bomb's bike. That thing's basically all done now. And Spencer came into town at the beginning of April, and we got it built up pretty good. I'm going to show a little bit of video here of me looking at the iPad while I'm working on it. I wanted to give some tips on when I'm doing these bikes, a frame up. Let's say you have a bike that's down the frame up. When you're going to pull it apart, this is a 2019, so it had never been apart. So we videoed the routing of the cables and all the electronics. It made it, 133% easier to just watch the video. I put it on the iPad. I just watched the video, how I ran everything. So quick and easy to put the electronics back. So you have your phone, and I've even just lately, I've had guys talk to me about it, and I go, "Did you take photos and video?" They're like, "Oh, no, I thought about it and forgot." So it's so easy to forget. So no matter what, take some photos or videos if you're going to tear a bike down, and then whether it's 1 month or 6 later, you can go back and it'd be so much easier to put it back together. So,
I framed that bike and I did the same thing. I shot video of it.
Yeah, that helps a ton, right?
XCF, yeah.
So we did that. It's a great way to do it. Now that's assuming that the bike everything's routed correctly. If you buy a used bike that's 20 years old, you don't know if it's all routed correctly.
Well, I've even seen factory new bikes
that are different from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the time you're good, but anyway.
That does happen occasionally.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is CR250. I got some good photos and some videos of some of the top factory teams all use a data acquisition. And you go like, what is that? And it's the coolest thing. Well, on my current CRF250 build with Dirt Bike Magazine, I've been working with Jamie at Twisted, and we put a dual injector on. And he got it dialed in on the dyno. He goes, it's this, it's awesome. But let's go do a day at Glen Helen and try it out. And I'll put the data acquisition on and we'll see what it's doing real world. And you can see all these graphs. You can see the engine temperature. You can see the stator output.
Could you see how slow you were?
You can see how slow you are. You can see what percentage. My lap times were like the way the track was that day was around
204?
No, it was like 230 to 240.
Oh, okay.
Okay, in that range. It was all in there. He was laughing because my first lap was like 240.
Yeah.
Which was like basic. My fastest was like 236 or 230. Not much of a sight lap. Right. It's just like he goes, Jay's a frequent flyer here at Glen Helen, so he just goes right at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just pretty much go wide open straight away. At least wide open for me. But on a 230, my throttle was off. How long do you think?
The percentage of the track?
Or just, a number of seconds I was off.
Number of seconds off. I'm going to say I'm going to say your throttle was off 35 seconds.
It was 30. You're real close. Where you're at zero throttle.
Yeah.
I didn't get the number of zero.
Well, you're probably at zero throttle going down the hills.
At least the bottom part, yeah.
I mean, you jump off.
Yeah.
You're at zero throttle. You go to zero when you jump off.
30 seconds of a 2:35 lap time.
Wow.
So that's a big percent. I would do some math. We had to do some math on that, but it's a big percent. So
at the third.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just great information. So the way this works is, and just so you know, every team has some sort of data acquisition going on, and they have it built in, probably a lot trimmer than this, but you have your header and you'll see a bung coming out with an O2 sensor in here. So this is the critical part to having a system. And you're going to see Honda, Kawasaki, KTM, Yamaha, all the teams do some type of management. And the reason they do this is and it plugs into a device like this. They have some type of device. And then it takes all these wires, then plugging into this device that monitors, then into their ECU. In this case, we have a Vortex ECU. And that Jamie's then able to put the two together. So he's able to connect to here, read all that data, right? And then look at the O2, or air fuel. So you want to see the AFR, air fuel ratio, at whatever. And they want it to be around 13 range, okay, 12.8 to 13.4 range. And he can see where on the track, following that graph, that it's way too rich. Okay, for the most part, we were never too lean. So way too rich. He leans it out there a little bit. It's going to run better in those spots, right? So he went around after 2 different sessions, we did, and adjusted it 2 different times, and it just got better and better. It was unbelievable. So the dyno did good. It was really good, but adding this element to the tuning, it became even better. So,
like, how much better? How much did you notice the difference?
For sure, it improved it like a 10% over 10% where it was already at.
Yeah,
which was already
which is great.
Which was like 20% better than the bike.
Right.
So now we're probably close to 33% better.
33%
overall.
Nice.
So anyway, just some really cool technology. Now the teams that are running this kind of stuff would work all those wires into their harness. They would have.
They also have shock movement and stuff too.
They do some of that. Yeah, data acquisition. So they can see exactly where on the track everything is moving. Now they don't run that stuff all the time from what I see. Maybe the shock, but the forks is really tough to run stuff.
Yeah.
They're worried about getting it messed up. They might run it more in practice sessions. But so they'll hook this computer up after so like the practice session for the Supercross. They say they ride the day before for press day.
What do you think Tomac zero throttle would be around? Glen Helen.
A whole lot less, man. He might be like 4 or 5 seconds compared to my 30, right?
Right.
So it'd be like that big a difference. It'd be huge. Yeah.
Right.
Because even when you think there's zero throttle, it's cracked.
Yeah.
You know how that's when, and when you nail turns good, especially on a 4-stroke, when you're cruising through, your hand's like at 2% on, 3% on, so it's never off zero. It's like, whoa.
Yep.
That's when you have that good turn speed, and that's where those guys ride, where like you could tell the bike's hardly ever at zero throttle. You know,
his is probably zero because he rides the clutch like a like a throttle.
Right. So anyway, some great technology there on that. That was really fun. We have a video coming out on that too.
Does he say like? Generally, how much is a system like that cost?
Well, you wouldn't need this part of it, the data acquisition part. That's just more for him to tune with his people. Like he's done this with Kiefer, did it with me, and he rode the bike as well. So we did all that. That's to help him. But to like on our Honda, to add the dual injector, which now with the dual injector and the Vortex and we got the F, now we're definitely probably as good or better than a Yamaha. Which unfortunately, but the Honda chassis so dang good, and if bike feels so comfortable everywhere else, when you come back to riding, you're gonna be disappointed when I'm on my Honda 250.
I've already been disappointed last time I rode with you. I'm gonna say, I'm not just saying this, like I really think over the last few years where you were pretty good on a 250, something happened and you're like way better on a 250 now.
Right. Yeah, no, it's confidence, I guess, and feeling like you can ride it harder.
Yeah.
Now, we got to knock on wood here because you know what happens whenever you start to think.
I know that.
That. So anyway, we'll be seeing that coming out in Dirt Bike Magazine soon. We're going to shoot that one soon. And then the other thing we messed with a bunch, which I have some good footage of also on those trail tracks, is that YZ450FX. We kind of did our part 2. We put the GYTR hydraulic clutch on. We have the fan coming. We haven't put that on yet, but we've got the Race Tech suspension done. We did some gearing changes, and we test rode it. And we have part 2 of that video coming out real soon. And honestly, all the mods we did were really good. And I'm not going to give away a big secret, but everybody's really liking our YZ450FX mods because there's a lot of Yamaha fans out there. They really like Yamahas. My only complaint or big downside to the Yamaha as FX as a trail bike is the tank situation. It's a decent sized tank, but it's not even as big as it is a stock like KTM XCF tank.
Well, it can't, right? You're limited because of the airbox.
The space, yeah.
Yeah.
And a large tank, I haven't checked into other, Chirby's has one, but it's wider, like way wide. And I don't want to make the bike any wider. IMS tank is nice. It fits in there and does everything, but you have to relocate a bunch of stuff. Battery, ECU, all this stuff. It's like an ordeal. And we're not racing. So the little bit that we're going to need the extra fuel for the few trips we do, I think we're going to carry fuel.
Just carry.
Yeah, I think we're going to carry fuel.
So what is the size of the stock tank?
I think it's 2.2. I'm going to have to check into that. And the Moto one's like 1.
Do you remember the 80, 89, and 90 KX 250 and 500 were 2.2 gallon tanks?
Were they?
The motocross bikes.
Because they were. I just saw a picture of a guy selling a mint KX500.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how big the stock tank was.
It's huge.
It's black, and I thought,
Yeah.
I'm like, is that an aftermarket tank?
Nope.
No, that's a stock one.
No, they
Yeah.
were giant.
They were. No,
Maybe it was 2 gallons or something, but it was still really big.
And I have a picture of this new Apex clutch. This is what from Recluse. They have it's a whole clutch setup that uses a torque drive. So conventional clutch, not an auto clutch, but it replaces all the pieces. It's really gonna. We did a video on it, and that's gonna be on our Instagram here soon. But also, it's going in that YZ450FX. Just a really bulletproof setup that's more. For the high-end racers, and especially going to help 250Fs that eat up clutches. That's where it's going to really be helpful. And yes, it's tested with stars, so the guys that are hard on clutches are happy with that. So we're going to have that coming out soon. And then for new videos, we have the brake bleeding one. A lot of people really like that we give these tech videos. We're trying to do more tech videos, and the brake bleeding is a common question. One of the comments we get, a lot of guys just eat us up for not reverse bleeding, and we've tried that over the years, and it just uses, first of all, it uses a ton of brake fluid and makes a big mess. And I've never been 100%. I've not had as good a luck with the system that we do. Yesterday, Cody and I changed a brake line on the YZ450. The Yamaha has a weak brake line stock. It's not as good as some of the other bikes out there. Put a Galfer steel braided line on. Shoot, we were 10 minutes changing that line and bleeding it fully perfect. So we were real quick one on that.
How often after you've bleed them do you keep the lever pulled back? Do you always do it?
A day.
A day?
No, just a day.
But you won't do it on a regular basis if it's been bled properly.
Right.
Okay.
If one starts to feel mushy, I'll put one on. And if it still feels mushy like a few days later or whatever, then I'll pull the cap off, go down there, push the caliper while someone's up top to see if any bubbles come up. And in our video, Rad will help with that video. It's pretty funny. Wait till you see it. There's a spot where he goes, there's a spot from Finding Nemo where he goes, bubbles, 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 bubbles. My bubbles. So he threw that in the video. It's kind of funny because I'm just talking about bubbles the whole time, how you want no bubbles coming up when you reverse bleed it. So when we reverse bleed it, I'm just pushing the caliper and pushing air bubbles up. And that's how we get rid of them. It's a pretty good system. I learned it from another factory guy years ago. The reverse bleeding that these guys want to suggest is you put brake fluid in a hose and put it down below and push it all the way up to where it comes out your master up top and just flows fluid out. When we've done this, we've still gotten bubbles. So you'd still have to do in the way that we're doing. We still have gotten bubbles, and we've not been able to be successful. And it uses, like I said, more fluid and makes a bigger mess.
Isn't part of the bubbles because of the thickness, the viscosity of the oil? It's just trapped in there. It's not necessarily trapped in a spot. It's just trapped in the oil.
In the oil, yeah. I guess, because it seems like no matter what we do, even if you just did a fresh fluid flush, you still end up with some bubbles now and then. So that's why we do that reverse deal. We tap the line, get the bubbles to go back up. We can do it so quick.
Yeah.
Now it does take 2 people to do it.
I know why, but why do you pull the lever back to the bar?
Oh, just so that you can use a zip tie or a clamp.
But what does that do?
It lets gravity help you out, and bubbles.
So it opens up the piston.
Yeah.
Right?
So the valve is open now. It can let that bubble out.
Mm-hmm.
Bubbles, 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 bubbles. so it'll let that out. So that's a cool video that's coming out that is coming out on that we just had out on brake bleeding, and then we already did a Recluse auto clutch adjustment on his WR450, which is a cable clutch like your KX500.
Yep.
We show how to adjust that clutch. So for guys that have an auto clutch with a cable, there's not some good videos on there and giving you tips on it. So we have that video that came out. And then we just did a clutch replacement with just Vintco on the RMX 250 that we raced. We show how to give some tips on just changing out clutch plates. So real simple video there as well. So that's a cool one. So let's go for our ad read right here. Wiseco Piston has over 80 years of experience manufacturing pistons in Cleveland, Ohio, USA. Wiseco Pistons are developed and proven through professional racers, teams, and engine builders, including factory Honda HRC, Club MX, DBTV, Twisted Development, and many more. Wiseco is rooted in supporting grassroots racers across the country. Wiseco has been a sponsor of Loretta's and GNCC Racing since their very first events. Wiseco has a piston to fit the needs of any type of rider, from reliable rebuilds to serious racers. Wiseco is still the piston expert. However, the brand has evolved and has a complete range of performance components, including engine rebuild kits, clutch and valve train components, crankshafts, gaskets, and more. Wiseco has all of your power sports machines covered, from dirt bikes to UTVs, ATVs to jet skis. Find what you need at wiseco.com or wherever you like to buy your parts.
You want me to go?
Yeah, you better read that one. Yeah.
Okay, this is from Jeff Mitchell, 1931. Okay, on a new look-alike thing, Jay totally looks like Frank Sutton, who played Sergeant Carter. Now, he doesn't finish it, but it was on Gomer Pyle.
Yeah. Photo inserted here. Now, why do I get partnered up with these guys that were quite a bit overweight? I
don't think he was overweight.
He's a good big dude.
I think he was a thick dude, but I wouldn't say he was overweight. He's Sergeant Carter, man. You can't be fat.
Because I think of more like, now, don't laugh too hard, but Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Not when he's like Jason Bourne all buff.
Right.
Okay. But when he's more pudgy, like the Mars one or whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So I'm going to go with Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
All right.
Matt Damon.
All right. All right, so next one. I just updated my app on the 24 YZ450FX, and new maps were added. I needed to try them. When you first ride it, it feels like too much bike. I now have about 6 hours on it, and it's manageable. I like the fact that it's difficult to find neutral. I like the fact that it's difficult to find neutral. I have yet to accidentally hit neutral while riding. Oh, yes. So he's saying, he likes the transmission. That's good. Some of the KTMs are a little bit tougher on that to do that as well. But it's a race transmission. That's part of the deal. All right. You got Dirt Bike Tire Change Guy.
Dirt Bike Tire Change Guy. Muser 8515. I replace 2 to 3 tires a season as a privateer enduro racer, and I still watch your videos at the start of every change to get my bearings. You are my compass in tire changes.
Yes, and that term is cool because, so what's funny is I actually watch either my video or somebody else's when I have to do a moose, because I don't do them hardly ever. So I do need to go watch one real quick to get my compass straight about what to do.
So do you know how I get my compass straight on changing tires?
Drop it off.
I bring it to you. My buddy Jim, I always say, I got to get a tire. I'm going to put a new tire on my bike. And then he laughs and he's like, when's the last time I've changed a tire? And I don't think I've changed a tire in 10 years. Just because of you.
Yeah. All right, we got one from Jason Cashmore. He says, just fitted today to my 22 KX450, and when he's talking about the grips, the ODI grips, the lock-on, and he says, good dang vulcanized clutch grips are fun to remove. So on the Kawasaki's, many of that left side grip, if in the stock bars, is glued on there.
It's been glued on for as long as I can remember.
It's a lawyer thing, and it's like the cotter pin.
30, 40 years.
Yeah, remember the cotter pin in the rear axle?
Oh, yeah, you bet.
They finally were able to
castle nut.
Because that was a lawyer thing. So one of the ways we found best to remove those is to cut it with a razor blade, and then to get a nice knife or razor blade and pull towards you carefully, and go around the bar. If the bar's on the bike, just go around it. If the bar's off the bike, then we'll take it and take it to our wire wheel and just spin it around. And we've had Cody do a few. He's covered in, sorry about that. Cody's covered in a black suit, like it looks like a coal miner when he's buffing them off.
Like Geronimo?
Right, Geronimo. Yeah, exactly.
Our polisher guy. All right. Kyle Manley, 6355. The bottom line is, if you find a good deal on a 250 or 300, 17 through 19, grab it while you can.
Well, this is what we just talked about. I got the TX 300. I still have to think that the 17 to 19 300 XC or TX 300 is probably one of the best trail bikes you can get. The engine's counterbalanced. I don't particularly care for the air fork, but on trail bike, it's not that big a deal. And many times guys have already converted them to something else. You can get that single spring race tech conversion, really good option. So if you can find one of these with less than 100 hours, that's really good.
I've actually started thinking, for real, like I'm thinking about trying to find one.
Well, you can try the TX. Let's get you riding that this summer. You can try it.
Well, I'm definitely going to try it when we go to Idaho.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Hey, we're not going to Idaho.
We're not going anywhere.
All right. So our next one, this is on the YZ450FX. He says, have you, this is from Ivy Yama. So he's a Yamaha guy.
Yeah,
Ivy
yes.
Yam. 450F.
You know that you're like solidly, like this is who
you're
you
committed
are
to Yamahas,
when you put that in your name.
Yeah. So you're not going to go buy a KTM.
No.
You'd have to change your handle.
Yeah. Your identity.
Yeah. Have you doing any mods to open up the airbox or airbox cover? And this is on the YZ450FX. And my answer is no way, bro. He's like, the bike doesn't need any more power.
Right.
And so the 250F, yes, we do open up the airbox because we're riding moto. We want the most power to that 250F. I have to wear earplugs on the 250F. I don't want to wear earplugs on the trail bike. The bike is loud enough and it's fast enough. So I don't see any reason at all to... What's
the difference, like, in how loud it is when you modify the airbox cover?
Oh, it's more than 33% louder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's not the exhaust noise. Everybody thinks we're wearing earplugs. And the Star guys all wear earplugs. It's the engine noise right in front of you on the Yamaha on the 250F.
Yeah.
It's just resonating up. But it's kind of a cool sound because you just feel power.
Right.
I'm going to read the next one. The next one is a screenshot of an ad on Facebook. It's just really sad. It's a 24 Yamaha YZ that he's got for sale. And I just feel sad. He says he wants somebody to take over payments. He owes $12,000 on a 24 YZ 250F. It's literally ridden for 3 times. We don't show this guy's name on the thing. So we don't. I'm not doing this to make fun of him. I feel bad. I have a couple thoughts on this. First of all, I get worried about guys buying bikes on time that are this expensive. First of all, and then if you're going to buy a bike and have payments on it, you should be able to put a lot down to where it's a pretty small
So
amount.
what do you think the percentage of people that buy new bikes are, motocross bikes, that they're making payments on them?
In California, it's probably about 95.
It's like a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot because Californians are all strapped. So that's how they're buying bikes. And so that's where I think a large percentage is. So this guy, unfortunately, this bike's, I don't know if it's even worth $65 to $7,000. Okay. And he's into it for 12. So this bike's going to get, he's going to go bad on it, I would think.
Yeah.
No one's going to buy it. No one's going to take over payments.
No.
All that. So motocross bikes, they're somewhat disposable. If you can't afford these types of payment, if you're making payments on a dirt bike that are going to be 3 to 5 years, anywhere in there. First of all, you're hopeful in a motocross bike that it can go, like a Yamaha 250F can go 3 years without a major engine haul. Would you get payments on a car if you were going to have to rebuild it at 3 to 5 years? It's like, no. So that's a problem too. So I look at that as a thing. So these guys, you need to look at getting something you can afford, and you can have fun on good bikes. I was going to get into.
But we also don't know his situation. Like, anything could happen. A family emergency, maybe.
Right. But the fact that he's into it for $12,000 tells me he put basically nothing down, and he got terrible financing. Interest rates are huge.
Yeah. Well, and on this a lot of these salesmen they're not helping you in that situation.
No, so it's a tough deal. So I just saw it and I felt really bad for the dude because unfortunately he's not going to be able to sell it.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
So be wise when you go to look at bikes. One thing I'm going to touch on real quick, and I was going to touch on later, but Spencer and I rode the RMX 250 and that KDX. Okay, now not for the track, but anywhere else. We got each of those bikes. We do not, in total in those bikes we do not have more than $2,800 in each bike. Okay, bought the bike for a good deal. One was $1,500, one was a little bit less than $1,500. Got the suspension fixed, did chain and sprockets, did hand guards, basic stuff, fixed bearings that were worn out in the KDX. The stem bearings were bad. Fixed those, fixed all the basic stuff. Bled the brakes, had to put rear pads on the KDX, clutches, you know what I mean? So it was all basic stuff. And on the suspension, we didn't go valve it. Schmidt went through, put new seals, new oil, new bushings, that kind of stuff. So we kept it reasonable price, right? So you're at $2,800 to $3,000. I feel like you can make yourself a runner bike, especially for trail riding, for just fun riding. And you can do everything. Spencer proved he could beat me on the track on that bike, no problem, on the KDX 200. So which is pretty embarrassing, but yes, he could.
Do you think, you're not a 450 guy, but let's go back to what is the marker for the best 450 ever made? What is that bike?
Well, at the time it was that 08 Honda 450.
08 Honda. Do you think, all things being equal, anybody on our level, if they had a completely perfect or great 08 Honda 450, that they would go any faster on a new bike?
Not really, no. And Kiefer had one out. He did.
I remember that whole deal.
07.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, I think for most of us, we'd be fine on an 07, 08 Honda 450. If the carburetor's dialed like Brad does,
Perfect.
man, they are perfect. They were such good bikes, and I still have to go back to, it's still one of the better bikes out there.
I've never felt, even to this day, I never felt a bike that handled as well as the 08.
Yeah.
Like it gripped, I used to say it used to grip the ground like when you're in turns. I've never felt anything like that.
It's been a struggle to get back up to that point. So but I do love a fuel injection on a 250.
Of course, we have a lot of amazing, hydraulic clutch and all these things now, but an electric start. But that 08 Honda was so good.
Yeah, it's just amazing bike.
All right, you want to get the next one?
Yeah, next one.
Top notch 115. Is there any harm in having a lot of free play gain to the point where it's almost acting like a regular clutch? He's talking about a Recluse
on our auto clutch, our video.
Yep.
So no, you can have tons of play in your clutch, and then what that would allow you to do is you could bump start the bike down a hill, so you can back out the free play gain, especially on a bike with a hydraulic clutch. You can adjust the slave out to where then you could go bump start it, which would be really nice. So yeah, you can back it off to where you basically have little to no.
Do you think that there's a advantage for an auto clutch in off-road or motocross? In either, like, which is the better place that clutch would be?
I think off-road is where the bigger help is for most guys that are struggling, that don't want to stall, flame out, they don't want to fall over, get wrist those tight. That's where the bigger help is for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm too old to change though.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, so next one we got is vintage MXer. So he's committed to sticking with vintage bikes.
I guess that's
just like you said.
Yeah.
He's talking about the clutch cable. We're doing some adjustment on a video, and he says, is he old enough to experience clutches that required 4 fingers? So that when you took your whole hand to pull the clutch cable in. Yeah, I remember some of those bikes.
Yeah.
I can't remember some of them, but
my KX500 is still one of them. No.
So yes, we do remember those, and that's why I really love hydraulic clutches. The hydraulic clutch we put on the YZ450FX.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's the Brembo one. It's a 9mm piston. It's limited by the spring inside the engine to how firm it feels.
Yeah.
So it's not as easy pull as our 350 XCFs, even though it's the same master, you think it would be, but the spring down inside, that tension on that spring is what's determining how we feel that, but it's still pretty dang good. I'm pretty happy with it. And I think for most guys, you're better off with a hydraulic clutch, even unless you're like Tomac, who wants that cable clutch and he's getting every bit of power out of a 450.
Well, those guys know they can feel a half a pound different in a tire, and we can't feel pounds different in a tire. So I think that there's a big difference there.
Right.
All right, Joseph Winkler, 4863. Your nickname should be Professor. I've been around bikes since I was 8 years old, and I've never seen anyone make this stuff look so easy.
That takes a lot of messing up to get that to get to there. I guess professors, like if you're like in a professor at a like in your science lab.
Yes.
How many failures do they have to success?
So do you ever watch? They call them like loop movies or like Groundhog Day and all this.
Yeah.
Well, basically, you're living in Groundhog Day, right? You just do the same thing over and over again.
Get better at it,
and it becomes perfect.
That's true. All right. I do like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I do too.
This is about our 33s. We're putting 33s from Decal Works has our contour numbers.
Yep.
And Squirrel says, what exactly does the 33 represent? And it's 2 3s side by side. It's 33.
33.
Right. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing special. Like it's not a hidden, evil symbol or something. I'm not sure. It's just like a favorite number, right?
Right.
Now, some people will put like Don, his brother got hurt. He put 4. He started running 48 because his brother was number 8. So they had 4 8.
Stuart originally ran 259, and that was the guy that got hurt that he was a fan of.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Educating. And then he finally went with 7.
And then we went 7 because I think he felt like he wanted to change his luck or something a little bit to 7.
Yeah. It was more brandable.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
And now he has a whole
gear company.
Whole gear company. All right. You want me to go with this one?
Yeah. Dirt bike washing.
Yeah. Bebo Block. I know this is a bit off topic. I just bought, are you talking about, yeah, they're washing your dirt bike. I I just bought a dirt bike and was wondering if I can store it when not riding in a non-climate storage unit, or do I need climate control unit? I live in Alabama, mainly referring to the heat. Thank you to anyone that responds. That would be you that responds.
Right. So yes, ideally it'd be great to be in a climate controlled environment, but not all of us can do that. I have bikes that I wish I could keep them all in there, but it's too hard. So you got to keep the gas out of the bikes. That's a big thing, because the gas is what's going to go. And out there, it's not as dry as out west here. The dryness out here is what really eats up you can see just the plastic and rubber parts deteriorate over time, just being dry.
Yeah.
Where back there with a lot more humidity, I don't think that's going to be as much of an issue, but the fuel's going to go. So you want to keep an eye on that. So ideally, yes, the more you could keep them better, great. But I wouldn't go pay a ton of money extra to do it. I would just get all the gas out of the bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So our next one is from Bert. Bert must prime. Bleeding brakes is the most extreme test of a marriage, especially on cars. I have seen the strongest of marriages end over bleeding brakes. Keep up the great work, Jay. I think in my video I mentioned that I do this with Sarah a bunch on the Blake breeding. She doesn't like it, but she does pretty good with it.
I'm not exaggerating at all. My wife literally doesn't walk through that door. Like, I'm not there's nothing in the garage, and your garage is the same. There's nothing in the garage in here that goes in the house. Like, we don't store Christmas decorations in our garage.
Yeah.
Right?
That's for
sure. My wife wouldn't bleed brakes.
No. She doesn't get dirty. All she has to do is pump this.
Yeah. Your wife's a trooper, though. She's really good at this stuff.
Okay. Yeah. All right, our next thing is, see this holder right here?
Yes.
I just got this for Donnie.
Yeah, I got a gift.
Yeah.
Which is a return gift.
Right. Because he got me a gift card, so I just used it to buy him something. So that was cool. So these on Amazon, you can get these aerosol can holders, and then we're going to screw this. He's going to put this one in his van, put a couple in his garage, and it's just so cool that your cans have a great place to go. So when you ever do ride again, this one right here, this Mud Buster, unbelievable. Like, I mean, no joke. It's so much better than just doing like any other type of MPPL lube or whatever you think you would use under the fenders, PAM, whatever. Yeah. It's probably one of the best ones we've seen. It's really slimy. You don't want to put it on until you get to the track.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's pretty slimy up there, but and drippy. So I just coated it under the fenders, did under the frame a bit. I've done a couple. I put up a video on Instagram. It's legit. And Cody's been testing it a bunch too, because he rides even more than I do in racing. And what's cool is, like, seriously, throughout the day, like half the time you hit the fender and it's all falling off.
So how would it work on my 4-wheel car I have out in Havasu?
Yeah, that'd work great.
Because it gets blown out under there all the time.
Right. Especially in the muddy stuff, it'd be great. And I think it'd be fine. It'd be curious to wash it after the dust. Like, you go in real bad dust. Yeah. It'd be curious to see how it gets bad. So these holders are cool. You can send us, if you want a link, you can have, but it's pretty simple. Just search aerosol can holders, and they're pretty inexpensive. It was like two for like $25.
Yeah, well, thanks for the gift, man.
It was pretty cheap. And so, a really cool thing to have around your shop, though, and I'll try to send you a photo. I did my cart in that we towed around. We have three levels on the cart, and that cart we put them on each side of that.
The tool cart.
Yeah. Like, it's just like but it's mainly for parts. Yeah. I'll have one bike on top, one bike in the middle, one bike on the bottom that are torn apart at that time. Yeah. Get parts mixed up. Right. Yeah. So which has happened, just like you said, the science experiment guy.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So we got a few tech questions. You got to tech questions over there.
I got some tech questions here.
These are ones that emailed in.
Yep. These guys emailed in. Brian E. says, "Hey, Jay, any tips on bending a subframe back? I had a little bit of an accident on my 2019 CRF 450R, and the subframe is slightly bent down on both sides. Looks pretty level, left to right, but the fender is not at the correct angle and seemed to be bending the seat slightly down in the back. It looks like a slight tweak. Just trying to possibly save $650.
First of all, that's a really expensive subframe. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty tough pill to swallow, right? Really tough. It is a 19, so here's what I'll say, is that like MX Locker and some other places, eBay, you could probably find one for more than half of that. But but first I would try bending it. What I've suggested to guys, when I told him, is you have to get the airbox off the bike. So airbox, side panels, muffler, everything off the bike, seat, and fender off the bike. So you just have the subframe bolted up. And then you can find yourself a long pipe. And if it's both sides of the subframe, I would probably run something straight across, then get the pipe under there and try to bend up both at the same time. And it would take if you have 2 or 3 buddies over, it'd be very helpful if one of them's holding, like one on each side of the bike, holding the bars and the foot peg, standing on it kind of thing while you're doing this. The more you can hold it, the better.
What about one of those digital angle finders, that you can see where you start and finish?
Yeah, they're getting way tech.
All right, sorry.
Here's what I suggest. I told them, make sure you have a new front fender for sure. Now, if the seat's bent a little bit.
Rear fender.
I'm sorry, new rear fender. So after you bend, you hold that rear fender up there, just hold it right where it goes, and then stand back, and you stand back there and look and see if it looks straight now. If it's tilted one way, you know which way you got to bend it, right? So that's one thing I do is make sure you have a new fender, because the old one's tweaked, so you can't really use it as a gauge. The same thing on the seat, but that might be more expensive. So maybe you have a buddy with another seat. You could use his seat as your gauge to see that it's lined
I think just re-drill holes and just move on.
Yeah. There's no way you're doing that, dude.
I know.
You're getting a new subframe. But those are some tips I gave him that I think
I was joking.
He was heading the right way.
Yeah.
But we have seen that done. So just
I know. Well, it reminded me when we did my KX 500 that we we had to drill the holes in the fender to start with. There were no holes.
Yeah.
And then we had to be really careful to make sure we got that straight on. You know? And that just made me think of it. Okay. Nicholas C. Predictions on the KX on Cowie's next 2-stroke. Well, from what I'm gathering, it's full size, maybe 250 or 300. If it's a 300, I want to be the first one.
So needless to say, here's a 2-stroke fan that's saying he's going to go all in, and my guess is that these bikes are going to be kind of like the Yamaha, 1,000 to 1,500 less than their counterparts. So. They're going to be a lot less money. I hope they're $2,000 to $3,000 less. I would love that, because that's what really helped the sport, right? Is if these 2-strokes came out and were a lot less money than a 250F or a 450. Yep. But I'm hearing, I was first just thinking, they're going to bring out like one bike, but I'm hearing 125, 250, 300, the 125, 250 motocross bikes and a 300 trail bike.
You think all the same frame?
I don't know about that. I doubt it. What I don't know is
KTM does it.
Yeah, I doubt it. I just don't think the Japanese are like that. They typically don't. And I'm wondering, what I don't know, I can't predict because I'm just guessing. Yeah. But I have heard that it's going to be those 3 bikes at least. And the way Kawasaki's been doing the off-road versions, it's pretty basic now, to where like on the 4-strokes, their X version just has a kickstand and an 18-inch rear wheel now. It doesn't even have a big tank. Right. So it's up to you to go modify it and make it more off-road. So you don't even get...
What do you think the percentage of guys are taking any bike? It doesn't matter, XCF. Let's not talk about motocross bikes because we know, that's across. But we're talking about off-road bikes. What are the percentage of guys that are doing different things to them, putting tanks and stuff on them? Like, is it half the guys, or most people just run them the way they are?
I think most people run them the way they are.
Yeah, okay.
Based on what I see for used bikes for sale and stuff later, they're so close to stock, So that's what I think.
Okay.
So next one, what do we got? So anyway, I'm excited for Kawasaki in making those. That's cool.
Listen, anytime we have new development of anything, like we've kind of talked about Ducati and Triumph and all this, and you go, how can we have so many in the market? I don't care. I'm glad they're all coming.
Right.
It's like, to me, it's like, the more the better.
If they come in at a price less than Yamaha's 125 and 250, I think that'd be awesome.
Well, what's that going to do to Yamaha?
Right. They'll have to drop them.
They'll have to drop them.
Or improve the bike more.
I mean, it's like when you have only a few to choose from, they can price it anything they want.
Right.
So, all right. Sean H. Hey, Jay. Help. Ha, ha, ha. I'm doing my first oil change on my 2024.5 Gas 450 Factory Edition. I took out the Allen bolt, the one out that says not to take it out, and I noticed a ball bearing and spring came out. It all fell out, and I'm not totally sure which way it's supposed to go back in.
So first of all, he messed. He took the wrong one out. There's a drain on the bottom of the bikes that you just move over towards the left side of the bike towards the frame. It's right there. The one he took out is like the pressure ball valve deal for the oil pressure deal. So first of all, I told him, you got to look up, everybody should know how to look up the parts diagram. OEM parts finder. You can go to Rocky Mountain through our link and then hit on OEM, and you can get right to your bike and go right to that part and you can learn how to look that up yourself. On that one, it was the ball and then spring and then the bolt.
It's funny how many times you and I will be working on something, and I'll be at my house, and you'll be at yours, and we'll both be looking at the fish at the same time, talking about it.
Right. It helps a ton. You don't realize I'm on there once a day looking at something. Yeah. So that's important. I have a picture here where he's got it all laid out in this little blue paper towel, because he was like, stressed, and he was worried that it was going to mess anything up. It doesn't mess anything up like timing or anything. As long as you put it right back together, just like that, you're fine. So, but just don't take it apart again. You don't need to take it apart. So
yeah, sounds good. Unnamed. Is there any chance we can call or anything to figure this out? Quad spark issues.
So 2 issues there. Quad. Secondly, no, we don't do any outside work. So this was a local guy to SoCal that wanted some help, and unfortunately, we just do not have the manpower. It's all I can do to barely remotely keep up on my stuff.
You also basically don't talk on the phone as much as you can.
No, yeah. I would have to have a 900 number, to charge people for tech help on the thing. And then if you can't solve their problem, they want their money back, they're mad or whatever. It's like, I can't, troubleshooting is called troubleshooting because it's a trouble, it's a pain. So unfortunately.
There's a bigger issue though.
Yeah. So luckily, if you live in SoCal, I have a couple guys I could send you to that can treat you real fair. That will help. And that's what I've been able to do.
I have that cartoon that has the guy on the quad and he rides up next to the guy on the bike and says, "We should ride together." And the guy on the bike says, "No."
Nope.
I'm going to find it and put it up.
Yes. You can put it right here.
All right. Linux M. Hello from Sweden. Love your vids and following you on Instagram and YouTube. I wonder if you have a vid on piston rings, 1 versus 2 on 2 strokes. I'm now rebuilding my kid's TC 125, a 2016, and I was wondering pros and cons with 1 versus 2 rings. Maybe more is wondering too.
Okay,
have a nice day from Sweden.
Thank you, from Sweden. So, I let him know that a single ring piston is way quicker revving. They're both going to make similar power, but the way quicker revving, the 2 ring is going to last longer. It'll be a little slower revving, not as quick, but last substantially longer. So in the cases, there's not a lot of bikes, but in the cases where there is a choice of single ring or double ring, on those small board bikes, I for sure would go with 2 ring.
Why do they give a choice?
The KTM did that back then. They just did. I think because they would use that same engine on the trail bikes and the off-road bikes. So if
longer lasting. Yeah, the 2 rings longer lasting.
Right, for sure. So if you're riding the off-road trail stuff, you would do that. Yeah.
All right. Travis, hey Jay, is there any way on the new KTM 250 SXF and up that you can adjust the clutch engagement point? It's right at the bar for me. I have the KTM bendable levels with the dial, and I dial them all the way out, so they're basically take my hand off the bar to pull in the clutch.
Yeah. So in this case, I was listening to that again, but in this case, 90% of the time, it's just because they haven't flushed their fluid.
Right.
Their brake fluid in the clutch. That's usually what's going on. Also, on those bikes, I really like the stock levers. They're so good and basic that I don't know if I would change the stock levers because of and if you're having a problem with something like that, I would try the stock levers back on again and see if you still experience the same problem. And if it's the same, then put your other ones unbendable ones back on you if you want.
Yeah.
But you got to flush that fluid probably on a motocross bike like that twice a year.
I mean, you're just cooking it.
You're cooking it. People don't realize how, and you open it, it's really black.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really black.
Any heat, it's pulling the strings apart in the oil.
Yeah.
All right. This is the last question. From WW. Hey, Jay, I had another question. So he had a question before?
I guess so.
Okay. So I was too lazy to drain the gas out of my 2024 YZ450F.
I remember this one.
So I was just putting the bike upside down on the ground and letting all the gas out like that. So like the way we used to park a BMX bike?
Right.
Okay. Then I go to start it and I let it run for a couple minutes to completely empty out all the gas, and the bike starts smoking from oil dripping on the top of the bike into the engine. Is this okay? Do I need to do anything?
Right, yeah. He basically duplicated a gnarly crash. Right. Because that's what happens when you guys crash. The bike runs when it's upside down, and that's why they have a shutoff sensor so it won't do it too long. But you get oil past the plastic valves and oil gets all in there and makes it smoke. It's not gonna hurt anything, but I would ride it for a while, get all that oil before you put it away now. So now you need to add more gas back in there to go ride around in it. In this case, there's a couple things you could do is not be lazy and just pull the tank off and dump it, which it's just gonna take you 20 minutes, 30 minutes to pull the tank off and on.
It certainly feels like much more of a hassle to put the bike upside down.
And it's a 24, so it's not like he's doing some junky bike.
Right.
It's a nice bike. So I would just pull the tank off.
Like, was he sitting around drinking beers with his buddy and go, I have an idea.
Right. We can just drain it this way.
We drain it this way.
So, no.
Although we did dump gas from one bike to another.
When we needed gas.
When we needed gas by picking up an entire bike.
Yeah. And pouring it right in.
That
was cool.
Yeah.
It may be cool if we had photos of that still. I don't know if we do.
Yeah, that was on that ride with Simon. We did it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's a photo or two of it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Out there in the desert.
Yeah.
So anyway, or you can get a siphon pump and just pump gas out. And you can get most of it. You're not going to get as much as if you flip it upside down.
Hey, I bought this cheap battery-powered one off of Amazon. It basically pulls all the fuel out.
You have to show me that.
Yeah, it's right over there in the corner.
Maybe let's take a photo of it when we're done, and you can put it in here right now.
Yeah, we'll do.
Show that.
It was literally like $9, and you just put like a battery in the top and pulls it all out.
Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check it out. Yeah. You can get it for me for my birthday then.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So anyway, that's good. We got, it's time for CD time.
Oh, yeah.
Which we're just going to talk about AC/DC.
Yeah, let's just talk about AC/DC.
It was unbelievable from a 70-year-old guitarist and a 77-year-old singer.
Yeah.
That they still were amazing, dude. And it's crazy the amount of people that went to this thing. It's just packed. They're selling out everything.
And Brian Johnson's been singing with them for 45 years.
That's right. That's right. Since 1980, huh?
1980.
And I confirmed with Kurt, who's my aficionado on all things AC/DC. He went to the first one in Minneapolis.
Yep.
He goes to all of them. He said that that for sure Bon Scott did not write any of Black and Black.
Yeah.
Enough people have all committed, but there's this rumor going around that Bon had. But anyway,
but I think we talked about it a long time ago. It was a tribute album to him.
Yeah, so we believe that album and Highway to Hell, those two albums, you could play those two in their entirety alone and make a concert. For sure. Right. We are joking about that.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway, what's really cool, I'm going to give you guys some tips on concerts. If you're going to go to a concert, I don't care who it is. I'm going to Tesla this week, and then Sammy Hagar.
Nice.
And then Def Leppard in August. Sammy Hagar's real soon too. So I'm looking forward to that. And he's doing a lot of Van Halen stuff from that era. From
Do you hear about every interview I've heard with Sammy Hagar? It's still beefing with David Lee Roth.
Yeah. Well, because David Lee Roth says stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sammy just seems like one to have a good time and make some money before he's dead. He's like 77 as well. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's hard to believe these rockers are still going. But this thing called setlist.fm. Have you heard of this, Donnie?
We looked at it.
We did, right?
At Def Leppard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that's what you can look up.
We looked at what they were going to play. Then I went to another concert in Vegas and I looked it up and I saw the set list as well.
You don't want to say the name of that one, and that's fine. I understand you. Let's not say the name of that concert here.
I didn't. I purposely didn't say it.
Thank you. So I'm going to read the songs off. They did 21 songs, by the way. Okay. If You Want Blood, you've got it. Oh. And then Back in Black. They play probably their most popular song second. There's no one else that kind of does this stuff, right?
They wait to the end normally, even into the encore.
Right. Demon Fire. That's from the new album, and that is such a cool song. If you've never listened to this song, Demon Fire, at first when I heard it, I thought, who's he singing that with? It's like a duet. He changes his voice from falsetto to... It's pretty rad.
Honestly, looking at this list has depressed me. I'm not joking. I fully am telling you that for real.
Shot Down in Flames.
Oh my gosh.
Thunderstruck. Have a Drink on Me. Hell's Bells. Shot in the Dark. Stiff Upper Lip. That's a really cool newer song.
Yep.
Highway to Hell. Shoot to Thrill.
Shoot to Thrill, so good.
Sin City. It's a Bon Scott song.
Yep.
Rock and Roll Train.
Yep.
Dirty Deeds. Done dirt cheap. Okay. High Voltage. Riff Raff. So those are two older songs before Brian Johnson.
Yep.
70s songs, let's say.
Yep.
You Shook Me All Night Long.
Yep.
Whole Lot of Rosie. Let There Be Rock. Dude, like, how do you...
It's like literally, I've never seen a concert that has that many just basically number one songs.
And they only played 3 songs from Back in Black on there. Like I said, you and I say you could easily play. First of all 10 are fine. Okay, there's 10 songs on Back in Black. Okay, you could play all 10, but like even if you narrowed it down to 6 or 7, because you know what songs they didn't play on there, because you still got, so you got Hell's Bells, Shoot to Thrill, What Would You Do for Money, Giving the Dog a Bone, Let Me Put My Love Into You, Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long.
Every single song on there is its own concert.
Have a Drink on Me, Shake a Leg, Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution.
Oh my gosh, dude!
So
every song is a concert.
Right? There's bands that like.
There's no other band that has the entire album as its own concert.
Right.
I would argue that point.
Kurt's arguing that a lot of AC/DC fans think that Highway to Hell is as good as or better than Back in Black. I just think they're being, funny. Who knows? I'm gonna have to go research. Yeah, I'm gonna go research that a little bit. I'll listen to it again this week. So
there's a lot of albums that that I can listen to that I. Like you would say, the entire album every song is great. And they have 4 or 5 albums like that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So anyway, it was amazing. It's cool to go check those off before they're too old. In theory, they're too old right now, right? But it's amazing. They still sound good.
I went on a family vacation. That's why I missed that.
So Malcolm Young passed away, his brother, who played rhythm guitar. I think
he had dementia or something real bad.
Yeah, it wasn't good at the end.
Yeah.
So his nephew, who's like 50-something, not young,
right,
is playing rhythm guitar with his guitar. I don't know guitars real well, but his guitar looked really ratty. And I looked at the old footage of Malcolm playing guitar, same ratty guitar, and he has cotton like
jammed in it
down here at the
have you seen Willie Nelson's guitar?
Yeah,
same
trigger. Yeah,
but how cool? Like, how did he sound?
It was amazing.
Yeah,
because he would run heavy strings, as what Kurt would say, thicker strings on rhythm guitar, because he goes, I'm playing rhythm, I'm not playing lead. Like, he's not competing with Angus. Angus is doing his thing,
his own deal,
and Angus doesn't use any pedals or anything like everybody else who use these pedals or whammy bars or whatever. So it's really cool. So I think guys that understand guitar stuff are much more than I do.
If I would have known earlier that was coming up,
you would have changed the venue.
I would have 100%. I would have changed my trip. I'm not.
You could have come home on Thursday.
I would have come home on Thursday.
All right. I agree. Okay, so that bell
Let's
is telling us.
Let's just pause for a second.
Okay.
I don't want to hear that.
So
now we can go.
AC/DC May
upcoming trips. We're going to talk about that,
National.
And then I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay. All right, so we're back at it. For May, I don't have any big trips lined up yet. I don't know that I'm going to do any, because it gets an in-between time. Here's an in-between time or problem for me as far as trail trips. The desert is starting to get too hot. Well, you're a pansy. Well, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Okay. I like to go to the motocross track. If it's hot, if it's going to be 90 degrees or 100 degrees, I can go to the motocross track early. Get a moto in early. Quick moto, go wash the bike, be in by noon or 1 or 2 and be watching motos.
So I have friends, when I go, my working buddies, they go on the weekend and we'll be at the track all day long, right? All day. But I absolutely love going to GHR Tuesdays and Thursdays and being out by 11.
You're right.
Done. And the rest of the day, I can do whatever I need to do.
Right. And if it's hot, sometimes you don't wash the bike, so you leave it in the van and wash it that night or in the next morning.
In the morning?
Yeah.
And it's so good to do it during that month.
Yeah. So that's kind of my... But
there is a problem with Glen Helen in May.
What's that?
A big problem.
Oh, everybody getting ready for nationals?
Full of fast guys.
Right. It's getting that way right now.
I mean, Thursday's usually worse than Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow, and it's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be fast guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be fast guys. So I know on those days I'm just getting there as early as I can and just doing a quick one, and then boogieing off.
You literally stay on one side of the track.
I try.
There is no changing lanes.
So I do have a video. You should put in a little clip of me clearing that jump I was telling you about.
Let's do it.
I did that
I'll
little
put
jump.
It in there.
So.
Every video you put up is just makes me feel pain.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. But Scott helped me jump that little jump.
Yeah. My buddy Scott went out there and was riding with you. He's so good at knowing what to do on a track. He's actually a really good rider.
Yeah.
And he, like any track we go to, he's like, oh, I think I can do this here and there and there. And he's doing pretty good stuff.
Yeah, so it was fun. You're out there yesterday. I'm looking forward to it. But so what I was getting to is in this May time frame, it's too hot in the desert. The mountains still have too much snow, or trails aren't cleared off yet, and I hate having to go jump over logs and cut logs.
Yeah, you learned your lesson on that one.
Right. That's been a tough lesson. I learned it a bunch of times. So you think a lesson learned, they say, is like usually once, right? Not like 14 times.
For sure.
So anyway, so that gets into a tough window in May. June, we can start getting to a lot more stuff. And so we'll start like in Utah, we'll go up there with Spencer and ride some stuff in June. I have something set up there for early June, and then late June, we'll be getting into some real fun trail riding too. So a lot of moto and bike builds in between then and there. So, and hopefully the goal is after your surgery, we get you riding before any big summer trips. So you can get a couple motos in at Glen Helen. You got to get 2 to 6 motos in before.
Listen, if I got 1 moto in, I'll be fine.
Okay.
I'm like, whatever. It's like,
okay.
What's the worst that can happen?
You'll be sucking wind because we're gonna be at 8 to 10,000 feet.
Yeah. The worst that can happen is I'm slowing you all down. That's my only problem. And why would I care about that?
Right. Well, if you're driving, we're all right.
Right.
All right. What do you got? What's last?
All right. I got a question for you. I came across this social media clip from Sexton, and he's looking at his rear tire, and I just wanted to ask you about this tire. It's cut, and I was wondering, why is it cut, and who cut it?
Okay, so to answer your question on that is typically, most of the time, that is done by the team, the cuts. Dunlop will suggest, and they will do a little bit of it. We'll give them suggestions, but it's very time consuming to cut the tires, and they mainly do it on harder pack situations. You don't see it as much on the softer tracks. So it's mainly on the harder ones. And you won't see it outdoor hardly at all because they're deeper. But on Supercross, you'll see them do this, and you can see how they will have a hand groover and will cut different grooves and slots to allow the knob to flex more and get them more grip.
Whoever's cut this has cut more than one tire.
Yeah, they're spending a lot of time. And in this case, it's probably Sexton's dad or his practice mechanic that's there.
Yeah.
It's somebody there that's doing it. I doubt he's doing it himself, obviously. So yeah, so he's probably testing around.
Sexton, I mean, is it the rider going, hey, I want more grip on this?
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah. So he can get that good feel for it. So Dunlop doesn't do it. They might help at the races with a couple guys doing it.
Yeah.
And then turn it over to the team. And I think it would depend on how busy the Dunlop truck is. And they're definitely not going to offer it up to privateer guys walking by. But top, 3 or 4 guys, that kind of thing, they would probably try to help them out.
Would there ever be a reason to cut the front tire?
I don't think so. You would just try a different compound or a different structure tire.
Yeah.
The rear, I could see them cutting tires at Salt Lake and Denver. I think we can see that there.
Salt Lake for sure.
Yeah, very hard.
Denver
pack.
could be like a mix sometimes.
Yeah, but I think if it doesn't have moisture in it, it can be pretty hard. So
all right, that's all I got.
Good question and good observations while you were on vacation finding that photo.
I was still, immersed in moto.
You were doing work and research.
That's right.
While on your trip. So anyway, fun show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you listen this far, you get a bonus.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that would be, but anyway. So
a Heidi Ho and a pat on the back.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy that. Like, comment, subscribe. Support all of our good companies that help us. At the end here, I talk about those companies. Also, if you go to our site, we have links in our link tree to many discounts with these companies. We have some great companies that help us out, so you can check them out. And if you have questions, just email me. We'll see you. Thanks, Donnie. See you guys.
See ya.
We work with some great companies, and here's a list of those right now. Dunlop Motorcycle Tires, Wiseco Piston, Vinco Air Shocks and Dirt Bike Parts, FMF Exhaust, Decal Works Graphics, Pro X Racing Parts, Recluse Clutch Revolution, Motion Pro Specialty Motorcycle Tools, Works Connection, Uni Filter, Klotz Oil, Cometic Gasket, MX Plastics, JE Pistons, Cardo Systems, ODI Bars and Grips. And remember, if you shop Rocky Mountain, use our link from our site, Linktree, or link in the description of the videos. Thanks for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.